All right, it is February 12th. This is Philip Fasson with Professor Nan Mohavich. We're talking about Kidz Read. All right, so first off, I guess you can just say, what is Kidz Read?
Kidz Read is an after-school tutoring program, like a homework help program. It meets twice a week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 6 to 7:30, and it's a collaboration between Christ Church International and North Central University. So we've got a lot of tutors from North Central. Christ Church is in South Minneapolis on Lake Street, and it's in an impoverished community with mainly Hispanic and Somali families that live nearby, but also African Americans. And we're right between Phillips neighborhood and Powderhorn Park neighborhood, which is more of a white, little more well-heeled community. But mainly the kids that come are Hispanic and Mexican descent. Parents speak mainly Spanish, though some of the dads speak English at their jobs. But the kids don't get a lot of help with homework because their moms don't have the English capacity. So we work on reading and homework, mostly reading, because the kids seem to get their homework done at school right now with COVID. I don't know. I think they don't have much homework. And but the kids don't always, like right now, they don't all know what grade they're in. So there's not enough education going on to know that they're in second grade.
I definitely noticed that with a few of the kids last time.
Yeah, but they're excited to read. I've just been amazed these last 2 weeks that we've been going. We've returned to classes. They all want to read. You know, they're not there just to play games and see their friends. So even the 5-year-olds want to read. So that's cool.
Junior was super cute watching him just kind of sit there and doing his best to just kind of listen and as much as he could. But it didn't seem like his English was great. But
yeah, he's only 4, so I think he's not fluent yet. But I don't know what kind of, I don't know if he goes to daycare or,
okay.
I don't know his situation.
So the next thing is, what made you want to start Kidz Read in the first place?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, we were doing some community development in the neighborhood. We did some house-to-house surveying, and we realized that the neighborhood is a lot of young families, so not very many teens, so it didn't make sense to reach out to teens, but a lot of Hispanic families and a lot of young families with young kids. So we noticed that we found out there weren't any after-school programs in that neighborhood. There's no library right there except for a LGBTQ library across the street. There's no regular library for kids. And the closest one is Franklin, which is way down, this direction. So kids can't walk to a library. And so it just seemed like it might be something that the community could use. And we were trying to find ways to reach out to the community. Sorry.
You saw a need, and you said, let's meet this need, and let's just provide the books for these kids anyways.
Right, yeah. So we looked for a need, actually. We looked to see what were the needs in our local community. And it was church people that started it. It was myself, another couple that graduated from North Central in missions. And they're no longer with us, but that was 11 years ago. And then we had like half and half church volunteers and North Central volunteers. And as kind of the years went by, we had more North Central volunteers and fewer church volunteers. It kind of became the North Central program. But once we got kids, it was not hard to get kids to come. And then those families told other relatives and their friends. So I haven't tried to make it big this last year. We haven't done any publicity or anything because of the COVID problem. And that, the bigger it is, the more problem you have keeping everyone safe. So I've kind of thought, we'll just try to help these kids out that we have and not bring a big influx of kids in.
I'm going to combine a few of these questions
Sure.
here. Some of them are a little similar. But before you started Kidz Read with the different kids that you're reaching out to, did you improve like a literacy rate between the different kids that you guys have helped in the past? Have you seen improvements in their life when it comes to like reading in English and comprehension of that stuff of language? Have you seen stuff like that?
Impact, you're talking about?
Impact.
Yeah. So definitely we've seen impact. We've had kids tell us they learned to read in English at the program. And these are kids that were going to a Spanish immersion school, so they didn't do a lot of English at school. That kid's mom was a meth user and, drug addict, and later on we lost him. We lost the kids because they got pulled into the foster care situation. But that was kind of cool. We've had, our kids just tell us how well they do at school. The older kids, we go from like 4 or 3 to 13, kind of that elementary age. And the older kids, often would just brag about how well they're doing at school and have no homework to show. Now that's not been as true this year. They're not doing as well, and they're not doing their homework, I don't think, because there's nobody at home during the day.
Yeah. And COVID just makes it
Right,
so
during
hard
COVID,
with at-home learning.
Right, so that's been hard, but we did try there was one year that I tried to do like reading tests, to see where they were, and it just was a lot of work we didn't have somebody designated to do all those reading tests and try to keep up, because they say the data shows that if you expect more out of kids, they perform better,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good idea, but just given the test we had and the resources, the tutors we had, I didn't have enough tutors to do that, keep up on that. So.
Is it a hope of yours in the future to bring that back?
If we had a lot of, excess tutors, we could do that. Because it does improve their learning rate. Right now they're motivated for the toys,
Yeah.
But you can also tell that they come because they like to read, they could be doing something else with their time. Nobody pays them to come, nobody, they're not required to come, it's just all volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as the parents probably like it because it gives them an hour and a half without kids, mostly they come because they want to come. If the kids don't want to come, those parents wouldn't make them. So we've had some kids that were special needs. We had one family that had 2 special needs kids. And so that was a good experience, I think, for them. To get it's more one-on-one attention, basically.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. Of course, I like to read. And I like kids' books, so it's natural for me. But
the kids are very easy to read to, too.
Yeah, they listen.
Mm-hmm.
They're very attentive. They're interested. They want to learn to read. Yeah, to me, there's just no negatives because it's just so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely have felt that in the last couple of times I've been able to go and just spending time with the kids. Just joy. It's just a joy to be around them and to try to teach them something.
Yeah, and they'll look forward to seeing you. They'll ask, where is Phil if you don't show up. So the relationship that you can develop with kids, especially if you do it more than one semester, but even through a semester, but they're kids that, like Savannah, this is like her 3rd year, I think. And there are kids that ask for Savannah, where is Savannah, if she can't be there. And Josiah, so Josiah was able to work with Jorge over the summer, and because Jorge's speech is really difficult to understand. And so during COVID, he hasn't had the speech therapy I'm sure that he would have if he was in school. And even just with a teacher making him enunciate and speak more clearly, he hasn't had that because at home he doesn't enunciate for Spanish either. And they're just used to him. So they get used to just figuring out what he wants.
Yeah.
So that's been important. I can't say that we've solved that problem yet. He still has some difficulty being understood, but at least we can work with him a couple times a week.
Are there a lot of students that you've worked with in the past that are in like Jorge's situation where their speech isn't great, but Kidz Read is a good outlet for them to get, for lack of a better word, speech therapy for
No,
free?
he's the first one, and then we've had this one kid that's autistic, but his speech is fine. It's just he has some emotional behavioral issues.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't like during the game time he would get upset. It's just too much stimulation, and he'd cry a lot. But he actually did fine, working on the reading and stuff. But then his brother would come, and he was younger, and he would have behavioral problems because the older boy has behavioral problems. They kind of work off each other, but they're not coming this year. I kind of wish they would. Our new secretary, Jody,
Yeah.
she's a special ed teacher.
Oh.
So I'd love to have her come over and meet these kids and see if we could help them out more.
She'd probably have a great time over there.
I should maybe ask her about Jorge. Maybe she'd have some ideas on how to work with his speech.
In the future, this is the last one, post-COVID, do you have any dreams of growing Kidz Read in any way after COVID is said and done?
Well, the church has talked about a homework hub, and they're renovating a bigger space that used to be our children's area, and then it got flooded and moldy, and so it's taken like $20,000 to renovate it. Still have to put new carpeting in, but so they're going to get 30 desks from North Central, the ones in 247, that kind. They're just in storage and they're never going to be used again. So North Central is going to donate those desks, and so we're hoping that we could hire somebody to run the homework hub, and have good Wi-Fi down there, and somebody who has a teacher training that could work with the kids that come, and let it be something that older kids would come to as well, so high school. So that's kind of what the church is thinking about right now. The gal that we wanted to hire doesn't speak Spanish, but she spent a year in Lebanon with the Johansons, the Nadia and Dave Johansen, AGWM missionaries, and so she really loves ministry and could do ministry.
And she has that cross-cultural experience then
right,
as well.
yeah, and she's also a graduate from this program from Global Studies. So she went on to get her master's of teaching and her K through 12 licensure at Hamlin. So I think she just got a teaching job, but I didn't see her at church last Sunday, so I haven't connected with her, but she's single. She could still do an after-school program as well,
Yeah.
if she had the energy. We'd love to have somebody who speaks Spanish because they could communicate with the parents. So there needs to be that kind of role. Maybe it would need to be a volunteer, but
Should try and hire Josiah.
exactly, yeah, that'd be good for his Spanish too. He's really good with the parents. He gets along well.
I'd imagine they probably don't see too many people that actually speak Spanish. So when they actually meet somebody who speaks, it's like, oh, finally, somebody I can talk to.
Right. Yeah. If you have somebody working in Spanish with Mexicans, it feels so much more welcoming. It feels so much more friendly. If we don't say hola, buenas noches, they just feel like it's cold and, unwelcoming. So that's why I always tell tutors, greet them, say hello, even if all you can do is greet. That helps, that shows we care about you, we care about your kids. And then they can laugh at our accent, and I say buenas tardes instead of buenas noches or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm not desperate to make it bigger because I like mentoring students, and it's a good way for students to, spend more time with kids if they've never worked with kids before. See that it's not that hard to run a program. It's a very simple program. It doesn't take it takes a little bit of money, but Dave and I can support most of it. And the church helps, with Christmas and things like that.